Hey everyone, I'm here with a project for the Butterfly Reflections Ink blog hop for National Scrapbook Day. Today I'm going to be using a variety of different products that you can find in the store. To start out, I'm using this MFT Raindrop stencil. Also, I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress Watercolor cardstock, as well as the Lawn Fawn Spring Showers die cut. You'll see here that I'm also using some Distress ink in Salty Ocean. I happen to have a full ink pad of this, however, I feel that the one of the mini ink pads that are in the store are great value if you're just starting out with some Distress ink. You get a pack of 4 minis, which I'm sure will last you quite a bit of time, and the value is just great on them. And I'm also using the Ranger Mini Ink Blending Tool to create the background of my card. You'll see here that I'm going quite dark around the edges and I'm softening it up towards the center. Once I've finished with the background, I'm going to move on to cutting out the other elements that'll be on my card. I'm using the largest and medium-sized cloud as well as the sun from the spring showers, and I'm also using the Scripty Hello die from Lawn Fawn. I couldn't seem to find the right color paper that I wanted to use for my sun as well as my Hello die. So I'm extending the use of my inks and creating colored paper for them. So I'm taking this Memento Luxe in Dandelion for the sun, and I'm going to use the Avery L Raspberry Pigment ink pad for the Hello die. And what I'm going to do is just simply swipe the ink pad across the page, and you'll also see me pounce a little bit on the ink pad, and you're going to keep repeating this until you get the desired color that you want, as I've shown here. I'm going to do the same thing with the Dandelion from the Memento Luxe ink to create the perfect color yellow for my sun. I'm going to put those aside to dry for a little while before I go ahead and die cut them. So I've moved it forward and I've cut out my cloud dies, and I've cut them out in white cardstock as well as vellum to create kind of like a shadow effect to them. Before I adhere them down to my card, I'm going to go ahead and lay them up towards the top of my card to really get a feel of how I want to lay out my card. And I also want to do this because I want to add raindrops using this MFT stencil that I showed previously. So I'm lining them up just exactly where I want them so that I can go ahead and adhere my stencil to the blue piece of distressed cardstock that we've already done. So you'll see here I'll tape it down. I've also taped down my paper just to get a really secure hold. And I'm using this watercolor brush. Now the detailed watercolor brush would be better for this effect because it's got a smaller tip to it, but this is what I had on hand, so I went ahead and worked with it. I'm going in and using some water on each of the raindrops in the stencil. Now I must warn you that this is not going to give you a really precise raindrop. It's going to give you more of a watercolor look because water can seep under the stencil, and so it won't give you a clear, defined raindrop. But this is the look I'm going with. So I went ahead with a second hand over each raindrop just to intensify the reaction that the water has with the Distress inks. And I'm going to go ahead and put that aside for a little bit just to dry off, and I'm going to move on to working on the rest of the card. So now that these pieces have gone ahead and dried, I'm going to go ahead and die cut the sun as well as the hello from the inked up sheets of cardstock that we did earlier. So once I have all my die cut pieces done, I'm going to start out with adhering the clouds. You'll see that I'm just using some liquid adhesive at the very bottom of the vellum so that you can't see it once it's been adhered, because the white cardstock cloud will cover up that adhesive line. I'm using liquid adhesive on the vellum, and then I'm using some foam dimensional adhesive on the white clouds just to give it a little bit more depth. So I've gone ahead and attached all of the clouds as well as my sun, and I really like the outline of it. I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my card base. I'm using a 120-pound cardstock because I want this card to be really sturdy, and I've gone ahead and cut my sheet down to 4 1/4 by 11, and I've scored it at 5 1/2 to create a top folding card. To attach my card base to my card front, I'm just using some basic snail adhesive. You can use some liquid adhesive if you would prefer, but I just went with some snail adhesive because it was closest at hand. I wanted to give the raindrops on my card a little bit more sparkle, so I decided that I'd go in with my Wink of Stella brush tip marker in clear and just go over each of the raindrops to give it a nice shiny finish. And when it catches the light, it just looks so beautiful. It's so subtle, but it really is a great detail. And you'll see here in a minute the shine that you really get when it hits the light. And I decided I couldn't stop there because I had to cover the sun as well with some sparkle. So I went ahead and did that. Next I'm moving on to my greeting, which is the Scripty Hello die from Lawn Fawn. And I'm just attaching that with some liquid adhesive and going to be putting it in the right corner of my card. Once the die cut has been attached, I decided it needed a little bit something else. So I'm going in with this Webster Pages Party Sequence Pack, and I'm going to just add a few sequins around the clouds that are on the front of my card. I'm going to use the glossy accents to adhere the sequins down onto my card, and then I'm also going to go ahead and use the glossy accents over my Hello die cut just to add a little bit more interest to it. And that completes the card for today. Thanks so much for stopping by for the Butterfly Reflections Inc. National Scrapbook Day blog hop. Be sure to head over to my blog, www.techniquesbytrish.com, in order to enter into the fun giveaway going on with this blog hop and for all the information on products used on this card. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.